Hey everyone, welcome back to Basic Level Gaming. Today we are going to continue with our Learning to Play Chess series. We're going to make a quick change here. Originally I had said we were going to go over some of the D4 openings. I really didn't feel like I found enough content for me to work with that on today's episode, so we're going to switch it up. We're actually going to play two games and analyze those and see what we can come up with from here. And they actually end up being pretty interesting games from two different standpoints. So we will see you at the end. Alright, so today we are going to change it up a little bit. We're going to play another game. And then after we've played it, we're going to go in and use the analyzer again to see, what we could have done better, what the other side could have done better, because you can learn a lot by analyzing your opponent's game as well, not just yours. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in here. Hopefully we find an opponent pretty quick. So I just do it as just the standard one here with the 10 minutes per person. And we did get somebody right away, and we are playing white. So we talked last time about the E4 openings, so we're going to go in and we're going to work with that as well here. And of course, I always start to kind of forget as I'm playing kind of what they are. You just get a little bit of pressure when you are actually playing the game. So I'm going to go with the Italian opening here, just because it's the one I remember at the moment. Seems like we're playing at pretty much the same pace here. He's taking a little bit longer here now. And I have actually run out of time on my side when I was winning. So it's a tough thing to have that time limit for sure. So let's see. And I've got most of my pieces developed here to where they can actually be used. So I'm going to start switching over to kind of an attack mode here. I'm just not really seeing where my best shot at that is. So could be attacking there or there, or maybe even thinking he can go there, but that won't do him a whole lot of good. So that's what I was hoping he would do there, is kind of retreat. Perfect. So what I did there is I basically forked his rook, king, and queen. And the only thing he can do is move the king, which is going to give me the ability to take his queen here. And he gave me the queen, so that's even better. I mean, he still can take my knight with the bishop, but it definitely is a much better position for me here. So far, I don't feel like I've made any moves that were mistakes. Not sure what that purpose was. Oh, he gave up. Alright, so we're going to go into the analysis here. Looks like it says I did have one mistake, or maybe he had a mistake. We'll see. Alright. So right here we open with the e4 like we talked about. He responds with a very common e5. Then we move f3, which is very standard as well. Now this is an opening as well. It's the Philidor defense, I guess. I'm not really familiar with that one. It was an interesting move to me, because typically I see the knight coming up here to f6 as the standard defense. Or not f6, the knight going to c6. But that's okay. It says it's a book move, so. And then we moved into the Italian opening. Now this is saying his better move would have been the knight. Definitely would have totally changed the game if he had gone there, but it says e7 is still a good move. So I castle. It says it's excellent, but it says moving c3 would have been the best move. So it's a slight difference. You can see the little ratings here of, you know, how it increases your score there. Just kind of in an analysis mode. So it still was very, very solid. So this was the best move to c6. I moved to d3, which it also says is excellent. But again, it says c3 would have been better. f6, it says is the best move there for him. Now I finally move the c3 to c3 with the knight, and it says the better move was to move to a4. So finally take its advice, and it's not the time to do it. But that's how it goes. Now this is a mistake according to the analysis, which I agree. I really just don't see where we were going with that move, because it doesn't really put any pressure anywhere, because if it comes down here, I just take it. If it comes here, I just take it or take it. So it just didn't really have a whole lot of benefit. Now it does say that the knight over here to a5 is the best move, and I want to talk about that for just a second, because we talked about really early on that the knights really don't want to be on the edge of the board if possible. This is going to be an exception, because what this move does by moving the knight to a5, it puts pressure on the bishop, and it's attacking the bishop directly, and it also prevents me from moving to b3 with my pawn, thus giving more flexibility in my dark squared bishop, also defending the bishop. So it really can make a big difference there. So often you don't want them on the edge, but sometimes it is okay. So I do bishop to g5 to attack the queen, which it says was definitely the best move. And I'm glad I saw it, because at first I really wasn't seeing it, so it took me a second to see it. And then they attacked my bishop with the pawn, which I certainly didn't see it as a good move, because all I had to do was move the bishop back, and there was really not much they could do about it. It's saying that they should have moved the queen over to d7, which also would have prevented several of my future moves. So it was, it definitely would have been a much better move. This is where I moved to h4, which it says was a bad move. It was a mistake. It's saying I should have brought it down here to d2, which would protect it, still keep this diagonal, and also defend my knight. So, and I can see that. My thought process was keeping pressure up here, but a simple response for black would have been to take g7 to g5, and I would have had to get out of the way. So I definitely can see that as a mistake. Now he follows up the mistake by bringing the knight down here to b4. And again, this is similar to this one here, and I just don't see the advantage here of where he was going. And I wish I knew. I wish I could like see what the thought process is on there, because it just seems like such a weak move, because if it goes there, it's got several attackers. If it goes here, it's got an attacker here. If it goes here, it's definitely got an attacker. So I'm just not sure what the thought process is, and clearly it's a mentality for him, because he did it on both sides. So I'm just curious what it is. So I attack with a3, which it says was the best move. It was really my only way to attack and not leave myself open. So he responds with c6. It again is saying the best response would be to move the knight over here to the corner, or the side, which we talked about. And the reason is, if you move it over here, it protects against exactly what I end up doing, which is forking the king and the rook. So it's just another example of why it's okay sometimes to go to the outside with the knight. So I jump up here with d5, again attacking the queen here and setting up what ends up being the end of the game, which is this fork. Now, his next move should absolutely be the opposite of what he just does. He should have moved this queen over to d7 is what I think the next move should have been. We'll see what it says, but so he moves to e6, which is a blunder. This is extremely bad move because it gives me 100% control here. So I'm going to jump up here and do the fork, which of course is the best move, which is c7 checkmate, or check. His next response again is he should have brought the king down to e7, because if he does that, even if I take his queen, I lose the knight. Whereas if he moves the king over like he does, it gives me the queen, and it gives me a lot. So it actually says his move isn't bad. So I would not have done that. I would have gone down, but it says they're about equal, it looks like. So then my move, of course, at that point is to take the queen. He's going to take me back. And then my move, of course, is to come up here with the bishop, because, I mean, why not? And then from there, the final move that he makes, which I am not sure why he goes here either, which it says isn't a bad move, but I guess I'm just not sure why. What's the advantage of that move? Because it gives me the rook if I want it. I mean, I could just come up here and take his rook, and there's nothing stopping me. I mean, sure, if he doesn't do that, I could have come down here and got the bishop, I guess, or the knight, I guess, but I just am not seeing here. It's saying that he should have moved the bishop, or the knight, up to h6, which saves the knight, so he can't take anything here. His bishop doesn't have anything to attack. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the purpose there was, but anyway, he ends up giving up there. I am going to take a look at a couple of things down here. I want to see what it thinks some of the better moves from here would have been. So it's saying the next one here would be saying I would take the rook, which is what I was planning to do. His response is to attack my bishop. That's kind of interesting that it says this may have happened, but then it doesn't play the best move. So I wonder how it decides. That's me saving it. Oh, I see why that would have been better move, though, because if the knight, I would have done that for sure. But if the knight had taken the pawn, even if he took the pawn, then I take it and I have check. So I can definitely see that being better. These are just hypotheticals, and I'm just trying to see if I see any main purpose. Yeah, so I still had a huge advantage on him at that point. As soon as he let me create the three-way fork, I had a huge advantage. So anyway, that's what we're looking at for that game. And we're going to go ahead. Yeah, let's play one more. I want to go ahead and do one more here. So let's go back here. And I don't want to rematch. I want to... How do I do a new game? Here we go. No? There we go. Okay. So let's see what we can find here. We got another one. We're going to play black this time. I'm not as comfortable with black. And I'm definitely not sure what we're trying to do here. So we're up a bishop right now, which of course is a bonus. Trying to be really, really aggressive here. And it's working. Just gonna take my knight. That did not go well for me. I don't know what I should have done differently. I mean, I didn't have a choice when I left my rook. I mean, I was pinned, so because I was in check. So we're just gonna have to recover here. I definitely did not play very well here. Sorry, I'm a little more quiet here because I'm a little not sure how to respond to everything here. See any disadvantage of that? So unless I'm missing something. I don't know what it keeps doing on the time, but it's kind of flashing, doing something. I think we've turned this around. I don't really see a way for me to lose, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. I'm guessing he doesn't see a way for me to lose either. Or she, I guess. The one thing I do know I have to be careful of is to make sure that he can't, or they can't, generate a stalemate, but that's pretty simple with where we're at right now, because I can always just block this bottom pawn to where it can't move, and then I guess it still could create a stalemate, but I don't think that I'll have an issue with the stalemate. I have a feeling a resign is on its way here. Or we're just going to let time run out, but I don't know what the advantage of that would be, because I imagine it's still a loss as far as points go. No different than a resign as far as ratings. Maybe they lost disconnect, or maybe they got disconnected. I don't know, it's weird that they're just letting time run down. But that's going to be game. Alright, hey, we're over 1,000. That's awesome. So let's move into the analysis here. So they start out with e4 like we've talked about. And I can never remember the defenses for some reason with black, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of step through here. So I go e5, which it says is a book move. And they go with b5, which it says is a Portuguese opening. So, and I said I'm not really sure. I've never seen that one before, so I had to just figure out something. Luckily, it says I found the best one. So, now it says they should not have done this, which I agree. I'm not sure. I guess they were just trying to defend it, thinking I wouldn't take it. They're saying they should have brought the bishop back. So, and I realized too, like, why did I do that? Like, I should have just taken it. So I've never seen that icon before. It says it's a missed win. So I guess I could have just taken it right then and there and won material. So, and then it made a huge mistake and moved the knight back. So here's what I did. It's saying, however, I should have taken it from the other side. It would have been better. And I agree. It would have opened up my rook, and I would not have had to do a couple of moves I did later. So, so he comes out with the queen, and I'm not sure why, but he does. And this is where I make a huge mistake. I attack here and open up this diagonal. And now I see what it's saying. I should have just ignored the move. I shouldn't have even fallen for it. I should have just brought my knight out, continued on like nothing was happening. Because now he's got my queen, or my pawn here, plus he's got a fork between my rook and king, and I don't have any option but to give it to him. So I move my bishop out here, which it says is good. But better would have been to move my knight in the way, which makes sense. And I knew I made some pretty bad moves here. So he gets in here, of course, as that's the best move, and I don't have any real attack here. And I can't do what I originally was thinking is I'll move my knight up here to block him. However, I can't do that because of my king. So I do this, which it says is a mistake. I should have just moved my king over. My thought process was I want to trap the queen. I didn't do that. So he puts me in check, of course, being the best move. And it says I did the best move here. Good, because I wasn't sure. I was like, but it at least makes it so I can take his queen when he takes my queen. It's saying he should have just taken my pawn, which does make sense. So, of course, I take the queen, which is going to be no doubt the best move. So he moves his knight, which was good. It was excellent, but he should move the other knight, it's saying. I come out here, it's saying I should have moved the pawn. Oh no, it's saying they're both best, so I could have done either one. I see what it's saying. So he castles, which it's saying he shouldn't have done. Should have brought the knight out, which is interesting. So it's saying I should just came straight out and attacked the pawn, which I can understand that. And they're saying this is good because it does give him control of the center. They're saying they should have moved the pawn first. And they're saying I should have taken that pawn because he doesn't have a whole lot protecting. He's got the knight, but I could have taken the knight. So I can definitely see that being a better move. And they're saying I should have taken the knight because he's either going to take my bishop or take my knight. He can't do both. So I can see that. He made the best move there, of course. And I make the best move there. They're saying that's best, but he could have moved the pawn over on to c3, which would have been just as good. Good, that was the best move. That's awesome. This late in the game, I really like seeing that I make the best move because I don't always know how to handle the middle game stuff. So they're saying he made a great move, but still, it really wants him to take that c3 pawn spot. So they're saying this was excellent, but I could have pushed the pawn up first. In the end, just because of how he reacts to my moves, I feel like I made the better move because I would have been putting that pawn in jeopardy, and that pawn specifically right there is the one that pins him and gives me the game. So he comes down and puts me in check, and it's still saying, it's been saying c3 for the last 5 moves for him. So they're saying this is a big mistake, which I agree because now he really has not much to do to save it. I'm just gonna keep chasing it. It's gonna be mine. He makes another mistake, which it's saying is an inaccuracy by moving the bishop back again. Now it's saying this is a good. Oh, it says it's best. Okay, so it's again saying there's equal. They were equal choices. So he makes the best move of finally saving his bishop. Now this is what I do that it says I should not have done. It's saying it's an inaccuracy. I should have went in here because I had his rook pinned basically, and I don't disagree. This turns out well for me, but it could have turned out poorly. I'm not sure why he did this. This was a horrible move, but he did it, and it gives me his rook. We'll see here in a second, because there was nothing stopping me from doing that. He should have come down and put me in check, it's saying, but instead he moves his knight out. Oh no, they're alternatives. It's done a lot of that this game where there's like 2 choices that it's saying are equally good. So, so I'm gonna be aggressive here. I'm gonna take his pawn. I'm kind of just thinking, even if I clear out all his pawns, I still am coming out ahead. So, this was another mistake. He should have come down and again put me in check. And it's had a lot of that for him, where it said, or for the other player, where it said several times to do the same move, and for several moves it just doesn't happen. I'm curious on this next move what it says was best, because I feel like it's going to tell me I should have taken the knight or the bishop or the rook with my rook. But I wanted to be able to get the knight and the rook. So let's see what it says. Nope, it says I did the best move. Okay, perfect. Because now he can still get my rook, but I'm also still going to get his rook. Whereas if I had taken the rook first, the knight would have come in and it would have been safe. So it still says that was the best move for him. So of course I'm going to make that move. And that's interesting. It says that's a best. It says it's alternative, or two together. There could have been either one. So I come back here and put him in check, which is my whole goal, because it makes him move that king. And his only choice is either to move it back in the hole further, keeping it away from my pawns over here that I want to try to get across the board, or to move it out here in the open where I can use my bishops together, which I do end up doing. So he does that, which is definitely still the best. And I move the king up here. And now, at first I was like, do I really want to put the king out there? But the only thing he has to work with really is pawns, which, I mean, they're not going to move fast enough to cause me a real big threat, and a dark squared bishop. So I can always get away from this dark squared bishop by going to a light square. So my theory was, doing this, I'm protecting this pawn, because his goal, I feel like, was to bring this dark squared bishop and grab this pawn that was unprotected. It's saying I could have also protected it with the bishop, so either one would have been fine. So then we're going to go, he moves down to attack with his pawn. It's saying he should have brought the bishop back here to kind of give some protection for the king, I believe is the goal there. I'm going to move forward with my pawn. Basically, I'm saying, hey, you better watch it, because I'm coming through. So, but I also am creating a path here for my bishop, which you'll see I use here in a moment. So he goes ahead and takes the pawn, which is a good move. It's saying it's best. Also could have brought the bishop or the king out. So I'm of course going to take that. It's saying I could have went up and put him in check first, and that would have been a good option as well. So he's going to come down and attack with the pawn, which it's saying is a very good move by all means. It's just he could have brought the king over instead. So I'm still holding off on this check, because really honestly I don't think he sees it yet. So I'm trying to gain pawns and get his pawns off the board, and also make the bishop less accessible here. So by doing this, the bishop's going to either have to move or I'm going to take it. It can take my pawn, and that's fine. I understand that. But I just feel like I'm keeping that check in the hole, which I'm going to use here in just a moment. So he goes ahead and takes that, of course. Now I'm going to put him in check. And he's going to have to move, giving me the right to do this, which it's saying I didn't need to do, and it's right. I could have just went straight to what I do next. I just felt like I wanted to push his king back, and it works. He does do exactly what I want him to do. He should have moved closer to the pawn to keep giving it more protection, because as I have to keep moving down, I'm using bishops. So bishops are having to get closer and closer to the king. So but now I go up here and I move to make the attack on the pawn. And now I think this is the point where they saw, oh no, I'm in trouble. So, which is exactly where I was going. He thinks I'm going to put him in check. And his goal, I believe, is because he knows that he can now move the pawn down. Is what he was thinking at that moment. now I've got the bishop or the pawn, and I think he's like, I have to find a way to protect that pawn from coming through. Oh, I actually just skipped a step there. I'm sorry. So he does move the pawn down like I expected him to. I go ahead and take the pawn. It's saying I should have just ignored that, and that's probably true, but I don't know. I just didn't feel comfortable leaving it down there. So he's moving the king down, trying to put more pressure in here, see if he can get towards the bishop, I think. Oh no, what did I just do? Oh no, that's right. Okay. So it's saying I could have went back and taken his pawn. I didn't have any intention of doing that. I really was trying to bring this pawn back. And this is absolutely right. So it's not a bad move to move the king back. However, by doing that, if he'd have moved over here, I would have had to move my bishop, or at least had more pressure to move my bishop. And now it's over, because now I'm going to get the queen. So, and this was definitely not good, because I can just take it. So, and now he just has two little pawns left, and this is where we stop basically. He does move back. I'm thinking he's going to put pressure over here. I'm not exactly sure why it says that's a best move. At least if he had put it down here and put check, I would have had to take the pawn, and then he could have maybe worked towards a stalemate. But instead I promote to a queen, and now I don't know if he just closed the window, disconnected, what happened here, because as you can see, he had plenty of time. They had 3 minutes left. He could have easily made a move, and he just times out. So I'm curious what it says may have happened from here. So it says his best move would have been to do that. I'm going to put him in check, saying I should have taken or I could have taken the pawn. Okay, because that brings it out here, puts pressure, or attacks both pawns, and the king can't encroach on the bishop here. And either way, there's no way for this to end negative for me at this point. So definitely was a really good game to analyze, because I had several mistakes up front, but it showed how if you play well, you can recover from those. So that's all we're going to do today, is just those couple of games. Hopefully you enjoyed looking at some options here, and we will be back next Tuesday, and we'll see where we're going to go from here. I really like the analyzing, but at some point we're going to have to talk about some more advanced concepts. So I'm just going to see where we go from here. So we'll see on Tuesday what we're going to do next. Hopefully you join us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, and turn on those notifications so you know when we do upload. And if you have any ideas, comments, feedback, anything, leave it down below. I'd love to hear from anybody. And have a wonderful day.